Look, I am on the side that government needs to do things, needs to help educate our young people, needs to help train our young people, needs to build infrastructure that is safe and resilient so that Hurricane Sandy's and other superstorms don't wipe us out. But to say that government should do something also puts an extra obligation that taxpayer money is going to be handled carefully.
Right.
To say, we're just going to throw money, it doesn't matter what it's for, completely undermines, in my view, the legitimacy of all the government programs we need. So I really resent that approach completely, to say spending doesn't matter, wasteful military spending doesn't matter. If you want government to be able to carry out its function, you have the responsibility that tax dollars are well spent. And that is an irresponsible position, in my view.
You're the world-famous economist, not me. Isn't that a crude approach to Keynesianism? Isn't that Keynesian reductionism?
Of course it matters.
John Maynard Keynes didn't say that, did he, in his writings, that all dollars are created equal and even wasteful spending is good spending?
Even in the Great Depression in the 30s,
right.
In 1937, he said, we kind of reached the limit of what can be done just by general spending. If we want to do more, we have to target it. And so the idea that you just put money out there wasn't even Keynes's idea. And of course, anybody with the sense about the need for government services should care that they're done properly, that they're done carefully. Also, what Paul assumes is a very kind of basic idea, but I think a very simplistic one, is that there's an automatic translation. You put a dollar of public spending of any kind, wasteful or not, and you get $1.50 back in the economy. He said that. Yet, when actually that stimulus was done, and the Congressional Budget Office ran it through their model, they overpredicted the benefits that would come. And people like Paul should look back and say, why didn't the economy respond as was predicted? He said, well, we should have done more, but the fact is that the CBO, which is kind of our scorekeeper, predicted what would happen, and GNP growth fell far short, and employment growth fell far short of what was predicted on the basis of the 2009 stimulus. We need to ask, what's happening with our economy? The problem is you can't just throw money at jobs. You can't just throw money at transfer payments and so forth and expect that there's an automatic 1.5 times return in growth and employment. That's a little too simple.
And I brought up last night, Jeffrey, you know, from January 2009 forward, you and I were concerned about the stimulus package. Not even the size, as much as the targeting, and we said that in real time.
And the lack of targeting, and 6 weeks you're going to spend nearly $1 trillion and know what you're doing.
We also said that it was going to create a bubble. What I thought was so fascinating, and he was offended by me bringing up the quote, but you know, back in 2002, 2001 and 2002, but he wrote it actually in an op-ed in 2002. He said we need a housing bubble to replace the NASDAQ bubble. Well, of course,
we got it.
He was right. He was right. It did snap us out of the recession, and it grew the economy until that bubble blew up. And the second that bubble blew up, he and others wanted to create, as you said in 2009, yet another bubble.
Well, their dream was to go back to 2007. In other words, they looked at 2009, they said the housing market's collapsed, the market for consumer goods has collapsed. We just need to boost back where we were. It was kind of unimaginative to say that let's just go back, as opposed to saying that didn't work. We need something longer term, more serious, something that's going to take us out of these cycles. The truth is they haven't recreated the bubble, at least yet. It didn't work. They couldn't recreate it. Young people are saying, we don't want to get into debt the same way anymore. So they couldn't simply recreate it. People don't want to spend that way. They gave the money, but they saved it, or they paid down credit card debt. They didn't get the stimulus that they wanted because they misjudged. The public didn't want to just go back to 2007. The public was scared by that point.
Mike.
We need a new approach that's longer term. We need to think ahead. To say just throw money at the problem doesn't work, builds up debt, doesn't solve long-term problems.
And takes away, as you said before, investments in other programs that we need. Investments. We've got structural problems, Mike, that we've been talking about on this show all the time. You look at the effects of globalization. You look at the facts of increased American productivity. The fact that Wall Street's making record profits while Americans continue to lose.
Totally jobless recovery.
Jobless recovery.
Exactly.
Their net worth continues to go down, has been going down for 4 years. Poverty at all-time highs. We've got structural problems that aren't going to be taken care of by throwing cash at. Now, if we were running surpluses, then let's just throw cash at the problem and see what happens. But that's not the case. We're $16.5 trillion in debt.
So help me out here off of that. As I listen to Professor Krugman's monstrous brain at work, and it's way above my pay scale.
It's a big one.
I think I heard him say that you continue to throw bad money at programs in a depressed economy, that's what you have to do, that's what we're doing, we're going to continue to do that. But doesn't it make more sense to take a look at using a scalpel right now to cut programs that aren't working, like out of the Defense Department, take that money, and then you can build up Head Start or public works projects? But it seems to me that he's saying the status quo is fine, just keep throwing bad money after good.
He doesn't take care of getting some return on our money. That's the problem, because for him, as he said, spending is spending. Who could think this way?
But is that because he lives in a classroom, an academic environment, and not a real-world environment? Where does that come from?
It comes from a kind of abstract thinking called Keynesian economics, which even Keynes didn't subscribe to, which says that there's just one kind of good and you spend on it. And that's what the model actually has. It doesn't have different categories of spending.